Hi. Okay, so this is hilarious. I am in a face mask, and the reason why I'm doing this live is because I got inspired to share about some books that have been really influential on a lot of the changes in my life. And I happen to have been putting a face mask on hey Carlos, when I had this inspired thought. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do this book review with my face mask on because I've committed to being vulnerable and getting uncomfortable. And so why not be real and show myself with a face mask on to social media while I do a book review? What do you think? Are you with me? So, if those of you that don't know, in 2017, I left a very toxic marriage. And the first year I was a total mess. And 2018 is when my life started to change, about this time, as a matter of fact. And really, it was an event I went to called City Gala. And there I met some incredible people, one of which was a speaker, Tom Bilyeu, with Impact Theory. And I started watching Impact Theory. Another one was Jason Cisneros, which I have the pleasure of calling a friend. He has had a huge positive impact on my life. So I wanted to share some of the books that have, thanks, girlfriend. I wanted to share some of the books that I've been inspired to start reading and have really changed that, and a lot of the YouTube stuff I've watched and influencers and podcasts have really changed my whole state of being. I'm a whole new person. When I look back at the person I was and the person I become, it's really beautiful, and I'm excited about my next chapter in life and all the stuff I'm going to create, because I'm about to do some really cool stuff. So again, I thought I'd get vulnerable for those of you that are just joining me, because one of my commitments in 2018 was that I figured out that the way to elevate as a human and become the person I knew was inside of me was to get uncomfortable and to do things that felt uncomfortable. And the more I do that, the more growth I experience. And so that's why I'm on social media in a face mask, because why not? And let's just get real, and hopefully other people will get inspired to not have to look perfect and just be themselves. So I wanted to start with my book review. So as I was telling you, Impact Theory had a huge positive impact on me, and one of the people he interviewed was this guy, Aubrey Marcus. And the book is called Own the Day, Own Your Life. And I actually haven't finished reading it. There's my bookmark. So just reading a quarter of the book really started shifting me. I love you too, Perla, my girl. We went to Costa Rica together. It was magical. So one of the things I've also realized, let me show you all my books that I've been reading. Let me flip here. Here's my books. Then I'm going to go over some of them with you. But the one thing I've realized just recently is that I am notorious for not finishing books. And I started to think about that. Why am I not finishing the books? I'll partially read them. Here's another one. Started. 5-second rule. Started. 5-second rule. And I'll read, this is one of the very first ones that really started to shift me while I was married. I started reading this book in about 2014, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, by Dr. Wayne Dyer, and it's basically, he breaks down the Tao. So this book right here. Anyway, I don't finish my books. And I never really realized that actually meant something, that I wasn't committing fully. for some reason, I'll read almost all the way through and then I don't finish it. So I am committed, and I'm putting this on Facebook in a face mask because I'm getting vulnerable with you all. I am committed to finishing reading every single one of these books that's on my bed before I pick up another book. And there are a ton of books I want to read. So this one I highly recommend, Aubrey Marcus, Own the Day, Own Your Life. And it's all about doing things differently. I'm sure you've heard this before, but if you want to change your being, you have to start doing things differently because you have to rewire the circuits in your brain. And the only way to do that is to do things differently. And that means things like getting out of bed on the opposite side of the bed, or he has a whole morning routine that I implemented and it helped a lot. Getting out of bed right away, getting movement, drinking minerals, the way you wake up, what you eat, the vitamins you put in your body. This guy's amazing. And if you look up impact theory, that's how I found him. And Tom Bilyeu did an interview with Aubrey Marcus. And so I recommend that as well. So that's the first book that I want to talk about. The next book I want to talk about is the one I'm reading right now. And it's having a really positive impact on me. And it's actually a series. And I'll show them to you. It's these. And it all started with this one, The 4 Agreements. It's a really simple book, and I finished it. I said, this is going to be the book that's going to start my commitment to finishing the books I pick up. How hard is that? So I finished it. I read the whole thing on my way to Costa Rica, and I'm almost done with this one. Look it, I'm probably going to finish it tonight. You know what? I make that commitment to you all. I'm going to finish reading this book today. It's called The Mastery of Love, and it is so good. There's this whole thing about the kitchen and using the kitchen to talk about love, and that, you know, if we're starving for love, we're never gonna. I mean, you know this. You only can get fulfilled with love through yourself, and the analogy is that if you had a kitchen that was fully stocked with food, and you never were going to run out of food, and so people came over and you always had food and you invited them in and you fed them, and you had no worry in the world because you had a limitless supply of food in your kitchen. How would you live, right? And then let's say somebody came to the door and they were like, hey, I have pizza. I'll give you pizza for as long as you want, but you have to do everything that I say. You're going to tell them that they're crazy, but why don't you come in and have some of all this amazing food that I have that's limitless? Now, what if you had a kitchen and there was no food, zero food, and you were starving, and that same person knocked on your door and said, I have pizza. Would you like some? You're going to say yes. And then that person says, I'll give you pizza as long as you do everything that I say. Well, you're starving, so you're going to say yes, and you're going to eat that pizza. And then next thing you know, you're being controlled by another person because they have what you need, and you're so scared that you're going to be starving again. So you keep taking the pizza out of fear. And that's the analogy with love. If you have the love inside of you, nobody can knock on your door and say, hey, I'll love you, but you have to do whatever I say. You would tell them they're crazy. I have a limitless supply of love inside of me, and I don't need your love, right? So anyway, that was one of the things in this book, The Mastery of Love. And the part I just read today was about, the way to get to self-love is through healing our wounds. We all have wounds, every single one of us. Some of them are deeper than others. Hey, Bobby, I got my face mask on. Being vulnerable on social media. The wounds, we all have wounds, every single one of us. Some of them are really horrific, but they're there, they're done, and now we have to heal them. And how do we go about healing the wounds? And there's a whole section on that I found really powerful. And at the end of the day, It all comes down to truth. So first you have to be truthful, and you have to talk about your wounds and expose them because they're layered with lies. And then you have to go in and you have to put some magic potion on and heal the wounds, and that is called forgiveness. And you have to forgive the people that created the wounds. You have to forgive yourself for buying into it, for accepting that story, for believing it, for staying in it. And you have to ask for forgiveness for the people that you created wounds. And then self-love, right? So anyway, Mastery of Love. This is one I'm almost done with. I'm committing to finishing it tonight. Then after I finish that book, this is the last one. It is called The Voice of Knowledge. So this is a 3-book series, which I highly recommend. What else do I want to talk about? This is a good one that I read about 1.5 years ago. Actually, right after I separated, so probably 2 years ago. And of course, I haven't finished it like all the others, but I'm going to, because that's my commitment. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. What a great book. This book, if you I'm sure you all know about it. It's very famous. It's like required reading in Harvard. This book was written in like the 1800s, and it really is about making people feel good. That's really the key, you know, knowing somebody's name, acknowledging them. This book, although it could come off somewhat manipulative, and it's used a lot with salespeople, it really comes down to how do you make people feel? Every person you interact with, how do they leave their interaction with you? And that's your choice. How they feel, how do you make them feel through your interaction? So this is a really awesome book. I recommend it. This book, sorry, Mel Robbins, The 5-Second Rule. Awesome interview on impact theory. Highly recommend it. I love her story. This book, I know I'm making a commitment to finish all my books, but I may not actually read this one because I find it boring. Hey, Jessica, girlfriend, you're so beautiful. Look at me. I got my face mask on, being vulnerable, having a book review on Facebook. Thanks for joining. And Stacy and John and all these amazing people. So anyway, the 5-second rule, I'll give you the deal here. You know, I don't know if I wouldn't recommend buying the book. Just watch the interview on impact theory with Mel Robbins. Basically, she was down and out, completely losing her life, spending hours in bed, full on depression like nobody's business. And her life was just going down the drain in all areas. Her relationship with her husband, her kids, money, work, everything. She was down and out for a very long time. And every morning the alarm would go off and she would snooze for hours, to the point where she was missing her kid's life. I mean, you name it. And one day she saw the space rocket, NASA, going in space, and they're like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. And she said, that's what I'm going to do in the morning. I'm going to get out of bed like a rocket. And so her alarm went off, and she literally went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, jumped out of bed, and it changed her life. And she continued to do that. And then she started doing it in all areas of her life, because she's come to find out that, I forget what it is, maybe 10 seconds is all it takes for us it's the hesitation in the brain that keeps us from doing things. And that's why we don't live to our full potential. That's why we hesitate and we stop ourselves from creating results. And that's that shitty part of our brain that talks us out of things, that tells us we're not good enough, that we can't do it, our limited beliefs. So the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. Again, I do not enjoy reading this book, so this is probably when I'm not going to finish reading. The rest I'm committed to. And but watch the impact theory. It's so good. My son's timer just went off, so I might have to cut this short. This one is a pretty interesting book. I've only read a tiny bit, but it was a gift. The Surrender Experience. The Surrender Experiment. And I only started reading it, so I can't tell you anything about it, but it looks good, and I will finish reading it because I'm committed to finishing reading all of my books. I'm saying this on social media because I am changing my life, and one of the ways I'm doing that is by being in integrity, being vulnerable, like this, getting uncomfortable, and so part of integrity is following through with my commitments. And when I pick up a book and I start reading it, I wanted to read it, I'm going to finish reading it. Okay, I'm almost done. I have 2 more books to tell you about. This book is my client, Sandra and Daniel Bizkind. I love them dearly. They wrote this book called Codebreaker, and I was actually a part of the book launch, which was fascinating. I've never helped launch a book before. I learned a shit ton. It was incredibly stressful, but they wrote this beautiful book. I've been working for them for over 2 years now. They're actually one of my very first clients. They are near and dear to my heart. Their work is very spiritual. They clear blocks from past lives specifically. I've had the privilege of working with them, and I've seen the impact they have firsthand. Actually, their private coaching client, the clients that they coach privately, whoa, the stuff they do is super powerful. Been to their live event, help them with their live event. They have a whole bunch of live events coming up this year. They work very closely with Jack Canfield. He is the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, and he loves Sandra and Daniel Bizkind. He has them come to a lot of his own private events. Like, he's doing a cruise this next month, and they'll be speaking and doing clearings on people. So yes and no. I've almost finished this book, but I'm also very close to the material. So, but it's powerful. Their program is called the Platinum Life System, and each letter of platinum is a vibration that we hold. And so when we're in alignment, we're platinum. So we're experiencing peace, love, awareness, trust, integrity, neutrality, and I feel like I'm missing a letter. Anyway, when we're fully in alignment, we are living a platinum lifestyle. When we're out of alignment, so like a blocker would be fear for love. So if we're experiencing fear, we're being blocked from love. So they have a really great book and product. So I do recommend this one, and they're my client, and I love them to death. So Codebreaker, it was just released in October, and it's doing amazing. Highly recommend it. And then the last book, this is going to get pretty hippy-dippy for you guys, which I haven't finished reading, but I'm a huge fan, and she has this person that I'm about to announce, along with Sandra Bizkind really helped me out quite a bit, sort of like the start of things. And I would say impact theory, Sandra Bizkind, this person who is Abraham Hicks, Ask and it is given. I've always been fascinated with manifesting. I consider myself a manifester. I got tuned into that back in like 2009 was the first time I ever manifested, and I found it fascinating. I've been hosting vision board workshops since 2014, and it's a real passion of mine. It's something that I'm really have dived into this year because I would like to teach people how to manifest. It's one of my things. I don't talk about the stuff that I'm working on, so I'm doing that now because I'm going to get vulnerable. So manifesting. So this last year I dedicated to really diving in and learning more about manifesting. Hi, Paul. Marry you, huh? All right. Maybe we should have a date first. I've really been fascinated with the power of manifesting. And so I started listening to Abraham Hicks, which I highly recommend. And then from there, Joe Dispenza. And Abraham Hicks and Joe Dispenza are like, they're like peanut butter and jelly. I mean, they are such a perfect match because Abraham Hicks is the spiritual component of the law of attraction, of consciousness. And Joe Dispenza is magic. He is the science behind it. And this guy has an incredible story. Please look him up. I found him on, I forget the podcast, but just look him up. Joe Dispenza. It's Dispenza, I believe. He started in the 80s and he had an accident and he completely healed himself. We're talking paralyzed back accident. Healed himself through meditation and then like manifesting, right? And he decided when he was laying on that bed that if he could heal himself, he would dedicate the rest of his life learning how he did it and then teach people. And so and he has lived to his word. So since the 80s, he has found the science behind manifesting quantum physics. So I'm really, really into it. And so this book I got, Ask and It Is Given, and I haven't finished it, but I'm a huge fan of Abraham Hicks. And every time I'm out of alignment, I just put on Abraham, and then I'm like, oh, that's right. That's the feeling. That's how I need to feel. And I know how to visualize and I can manifest the shit out of this world. It's so good. Anyway, that's all my books. And now I'm committed to finish reading them. And I think it's hilarious that I did this with this mask on. And I'm so grateful. Gratitude, by the way, gratitude is the beginning of my journey. I was a very pessimistic person. And I turned into an optimist through the art of gratitude. And it's something I started many, many, many years ago. I have a great story about that I won't tell you right now because it's long. But it's really hard to be, hey, cat. You have to go back and watch because I was just about to hang up. It's giving a book review in a mask. Anyway, what I was saying is, and it all starts with gratitude. Gratitude. You can't manifest shit unless you're grateful for what you have, because you will never be satisfied if you are not grateful for everything you have right now. So start there. All right. Oh, do you want to jump on my Facebook Live? No. Okay. My son doesn't want to jump on. So I'm going to say peace out. Thanks for joining me. I love you guys. Oh, this was fun. I'm glad I did this. All right. Your comments are cracking me up. Okay, bye. I'm gonna wipe this face mask off, and underneath is pure delicious beauty waiting to be exposed. All right, see you guys later. Peace out.